What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the 72nd edition of the Tuesday Track Talk, featuring your Three Stones pit crew. And with us today, we have a special guest, Brandon, coming off of the Midwest Truck Series Championship. So we're glad to have Brandon with us for this week's episode, kind of as our part one. So, Brandon, glad you could join us. Thanks for joining us as we get rocking and rolling. So, how's the off
Thanks for
season
having me.
been? Yeah, of course. How's the off season been?
It's been good. I feel like I'm getting antsy now. I get to about February and I've had enough of winter, had enough of cold. I'm sick of being cooped up and
Yeah.
just kind of getting ready to get back to the racetrack. I usually get to about 8 weeks out and then the countdown is on as far as how many days to get back to the icebreaker at the Dells. So,
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to getting rid of the snow and getting some warmer weather and getting back to the racetrack.
Cool.
Hey,
So,
warmer weather. I see mid 40s this week a couple times, so that's trending in the right direction.
yeah, for sure. All right, so we're just gonna run through our usual kind of our questions we have scripted for you we've sent, and we'll kind of just see where the conversation goes and rock and roll from there. So, Cam, you get the first one. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a good old racing icebreaker here for you. Who's been the biggest influence on you in your racing career, or somebody that you've looked up to or admired throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my dad and my grandpa both raced before me, so I'm a third generation racer. My dad's by far the biggest influence into my racing career. I started racing go-karts at 4 years old and have pretty much been racing ever since. So I've got 27 years I've been racing now. So yeah, he's by far been my biggest influence. I look back now and when I was younger, I didn't necessarily appreciate how hard he pushed me and the coaching that he gave to me. And I look back on it now, and now I really do appreciate it because it's pushed me to be my best. And um, it's kind of the point now where I want nothing less than a win. It just keeps my competitive drive going. But he's always told me that and I think it's true to this day that your work's going to be one at the shop, the work you do, outside of the racetrack, and dotting the i's, crossing the t's. The detail stuff is what he always ingrained into me, and always would hammer me on as far as making sure things were right. And I it's rubbed off on me, so now I'm kind of the same way. And we still obviously work together on the truck, and are still racing together. So yeah, it's cool now. As I've gotten older, I appreciate the influence he's had on me. And there's still things that he'll coach me up on and critique to this day. And I think you can always be better, and I appreciate that.
I think especially with how competitive the racing scene is now, not just on the trucks, but on the super lates or anything like that. You gotta constantly evolve, and I guess any feedback is always good feedback, and just trying to keep up on your craft too.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, that was one of the things we learned, if we're talking about the truck series specifically, is, the first year coming in, we just kind of got our feet wet, kind of got an understanding of going to some of these different racetracks. It was 7 or 8 different racetracks I'd never been to, the first year in 2022. And we had some success, won a couple of races, but some races we were also, we were off. And got to the middle of 2023 and really didn't see a whole lot of spike in success. And that's when we finally, to your point, had to evolve and kind of get outside our comfort zone a little bit and do some things a little bit differently. And since then, knock on wood, it's worked to this point. But obviously, every year is a new year, so we'll just have to keep evolving and figuring out what we can do to try and keep our program as top level as possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're coming off a championship year, pretty much a banner year when it comes to the truck series side of things. So when you're on that roll of success, does making adjustments kind of become a bigger decision, or is it just instinct and you go with it? And again, you're looking into next year too. Any adjustments you're looking to make, or you're just kind of going with instinct there?
I mean, I think it's like anything sports related, right? It's always hard to stay on top. It's harder to stay on top than it is, I guess, to get there. And as far as like adjustments and tweaks, there's still things that last year, even though it was like you said a banner year and had a lot of things go our way, had a lot of luck, but we also ran good too, and had some strong runs. But Yeah, there's some little things that we have to continue to try and tweak. There's racetracks that I feel like weren't our strong suits last year. So that's kind of been the focus this offseason, is looking at what we can do differently, setup wise at some of those tracks that maybe we were sixth to eighth place. Whereas, we need to be in that third to fifth consistently, or, be one or two positions better, this year. Because everybody else is going to get better. There's guys building new trucks, there's guys that are going to do things differently as well. And if we come out and try and do the same, we're going to be behind the eight ball again. So it's just trying to clean up some of the areas that I would say weren't our best, even though they were top eight finishes. Whereas we're trying to now shoot for the top sixes and top five finishes. And I try not to overthink things too much at the racetrack. That's one nice thing about my dad having so much experience over the years, and he's won some super late model championships. And when we make adjustments at the track and we do things, it's we'll talk about things, but we also try not to, overdo things as well, and try and outsmart what we know works. Because that can certainly be something that, all of a sudden you try and do something a little too far, and, or try and do something that's maybe a little bit of a risk, and you pay the price. So it's a balance. When we have those practice days, that's kind of the point of those, is to try and figure out some of that R&D work and figure out what adjustments don't really work for us, or what I don't like from a feel standpoint. And that way we kind of know what our playbook looks like, if you will, when it comes to race day.
Off of that, is there any, I'm not asking you to give away any setup secrets or anything like that, but this off season, is there any changes that, you've made as a driver, or just, sponsor wise, or any changes you've made this off season from last year that you're excited about, or just looking forward to getting to the track and trying?
Yeah, we've got a couple things, that we've done differently this off season. Some improvements I feel like we've made for our program. And I would call them small detail changes, but I think details, we're looking for, in a truck series, we're looking for a tenth. We're not looking for half a second. We're looking for a tenth, because that's the difference in being 12th versus being sixth and missing the invert for a race. So there's been some small details that we've made changes to this winter. There's some things that we've done differently, and hopefully it's all stuff that's going to add up to a tenth or two as we come into the season. And have got some new partners on board as well too, and so excited about 25. It'd be cool to see where we can fire off at, and just kind of like to get through the first two races, just to kind of get those races under our belt. And that first race is always one everybody kind of comes out, and you just kind of try and survive that first one, load it up in one piece, and then you can kind of move on and just kind of race your way out of it. So
Yeah, and kind of building on that a little bit, following along with your social media stuff, how has social media, just with how the world is now, how has social media impacted your race program?
biggest thing I learned, the social media side of things, I guess for me, really came to life in 2021. I mean, I was somewhat active on social media, but I wasn't overly active prior to that. But when I landed the Camping World sponsorship for 2021, that's when I had to really up my social media side of my game. And that's kind of how I got that whole deal started, was through some Twitter interaction with Marcus Lemonis, who's the CEO of Camping World. And I kind of hounded him for a while, and then ever since then, I've been really active on social media. And what I've come to find out is, the social media side of things today has changed the way that partnerships work, as far as the content that gets created, whether it's reels, whether it's videos, social media posts, the race day graphics, results graphics, that sort of thing. I feel like anything I can do to put the names of the people that support me out in front of other people and advertise, what they do, try and promote their services as much as possible. I think ultimately at the end of the day, the partnership works two ways. And if it's one of those where you're just trying to get the money and run from it, well, that's not the right thing to do. And that's not going to garner your partnerships or be able to expand your partnerships that you have, and from year to year. So the social media side of things, that there's the way, that's kind of how you can create contacts with people. That's one thing I learned is, I'll reach out on Instagram, through Messenger with a little brief, intro paragraph, and just kind of a short little infographic, and see if I can make contact with people. And sometimes you get no response. Sometimes you get, here's a general, fill out this form. Sometimes you get email contacts from marketing people. And When it comes to partnerships, you get usually 99 no's to that one yes, but that's one of those things that you just have to understand is, you've got to keep fighting. And eventually, when you land one, you try and do the best you can to fulfill what they're looking for. And hopefully it works out and something you can build for the long run.
I gotta ask, just because I saw a while back, the tradition that you guys had every time you won a race, you went to Quick Trip in front and took a picture in front of the banana rack. Have you reached out to Quick Trip to see if they can throw a sponsor in?
I did hear back from them, and they unfortunately said no, but it's not going to change what we do. We're still going to do it when we win races, because that was the big thing that I learned from the Camping World deal is persistence pays off. So we're fortunate enough to win races this year. We're still going to stop at Quick Trip and get the banana rack selfie. I think that's something that if you can do some things that are unique, some things that stand out, I think that also generates interest in people too, because they know that you're willing to do some of that, some of that content stuff, and be a real person. Sometimes, not that we're not by, certainly not at the NASCAR level where we're, celebrities by any means, but just proving that you're down to earth and you're willing to, you're just like anybody else out in the world. I think that's important and kind of shows your personality, and that way potential partners or the partners that you have, know who you are, and you never know what can come from some of that.
Yeah.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So just keep shooting, and you never know what comes from it. So
absolutely.
That is awesome. One question I do have, I guess between the truck and the Super Late model, what's the biggest adjustment or difference going between the truck and the Super? And, from the stands, it looks easy to do, but we're not behind behind the wheel. So how tough is that to do for you?
It's pretty tough. The driving style with those is different. I mean, I did the double at the Icebreaker last year, back and forth between a Super Late and a truck. And, when you're doing them back to back in the same weekend, same race, I think it's really tough because the driving style for both of them is so different. And the way they react is different. And the adjustment side of things on the Super Late versus the truck. I mean, obviously with the truck, we're from a cost standpoint, we're limited with what we can do and what we can have, which is fantastic. And that's why I'm in the truck series. But it's hard to go back and forth. They both drive differently. With the Super Late, you got, about 125, 150 more horsepower, so the way you get on the throttle is a heck of a lot different because you'll buzz the tires in an instant. And some of your braking points are different as far as, when you're getting on the brakes, versus the truck. Maybe you're driving a little bit deeper, but biggest thing with the trucks is, they are, in my opinion, they're harder to drive after about 20 laps than what a Super Late is, believe it or not, just because of, the tire that we're on, which in my opinion is what makes the truck series so great, because I think that's why you see a lot of the Super Late guys jumping into the truck series is, one, the competition is so tight, but two, a lot of people from the outside think, oh, it's just 602 crate engines. It can't be that hard. But you learn in a quick hurry that, when you start sliding around a little bit, and there's a lot more that's involved with it because you don't have the power to carry you through with the Super Lates. You can just get on the throttle and drive underneath somebody. Whereas the trucks, it becomes a lot of momentum racing. So, from a cost standpoint, certainly the truck series is a lot more fun. You're not putting on 8 tires for a weekend race, spending $2,500 just to get to the racetrack. And but suspension wise, you certainly we're tremendously less when it comes to shocks and things like that. And a lot of the suspension things that guys are doing in the rear now with the Super Lates. So from a different standpoint, I like the horsepower, don't get me wrong, I like the speed. But some of the things you do with the Super Late don't apply to the truck, and I think that's what makes the series so unique.
We've seen our fair share of Super Late drivers hop into a truck too. Brad J.J. Mueller and Jeff Storm hopped into the truck at Oktoberfest last year. I mean, you heard both of them say that they had a blast. Stormy was even thinking about, maybe finding some more rides. And obviously Brad's got his truck that he runs on a full-time basis now too. So I think it's just cool to see.
Absolutely.
And the series keeps growing.
Yeah. You got the next one.
Oh, yep, sure. All right. So flash forward here. It's March of 2026. We're having another conversation. Outside of defending the truck championship, what are you hoping to accomplish this year as a team, as a driver, anything? What are you looking to accomplish this year?
I mean, my plan for 25 is the same as it was in 24 when we rolled out at the Dells. It's to go out and win as many races as we can, bring home as many trophies and checkered flags as possible, and go across the scales in the top 5 as many races as we can. And that was kind of the way I approached 24, was just try and win as many races that we could, keep the truck in one piece, finish in the top 5, and that landed me with a championship. And I didn't really look at the point stuff a whole lot until about July, right after the Dixieland, when I took the point lead. There's so many races prior to that it really doesn't matter, if you lead the first race, because it's kind of the same thing with leading laps. You need to lead the last one and be up top at the end there. So just going to go out and try and win races as much as we can, put ourselves in positions to finish in the top 5. And if you land with a lot of top 5s, there's a really good chance that you're going to be around at the end of the year and be in the conversation when we get to Halloween, for the championship. So for me, it's all about going out and winning. I love winning. I hate losing, but in racing, you're going to lose more than you win most times. But that's what makes winning so special, is the competition and just doing your homework and doing what you need to do outside of the racetrack to show up prepared. So that way we're not throwing the kitchen sink at it at the racetrack. And if we can qualify well, be in the invert, have a chance to win every race that we're in, and then the points and all the other stuff will take care of itself.
Kind of going off of that same bullet point, like what are 1 or 2 events that you have like really circled for this coming year? When you look at them, like what's like 1 or 2 that you like really are like, all right, that's one that I'm really looking forward to.
I like to win a Dixieland just because it's in my backyard. It's 8 minutes from where I'm at right now. So would love to win that one. Of course, had a really good race with Brad Miller 2 years ago, and that's one that I certainly would love to win. Looking at the rest of the schedule, I'd like to run. I'd really like to run better at lacrosse. In the 3 years that we've been there, we've gotten better each year, but in my opinion, we're just still average. We haven't kind of hit a wow factor. We've qualified decent, practiced well, but just haven't raced well. So like to put a little better race setup together there. That's kind of that crown jewel that's hanging out there, if you will, from the truck series standpoint, along with the Dixieland that I haven't had a chance to win. So Kakana and lacrosse would be my 2 big ones that I'd love to be able to win this year.
Nice. Cool.
Off of that, I just got another question for you. You talked about a track that you go to that you struggle at, or say you get in a slump, couple races in a row where you're just not running well. How do you deal with that? When it's 3-4 races in a row that you're not running well, you're not finishing well, or you show up to a track and it's like, this is a track that I always struggle at or not well. How do you deal with that? Are you throwing new stuff at the truck, or I guess, how do you deal with that from the truck side of it and personal side of it? Because I mean, can be a big mind game too, when you get to a place that you struggle at too. But yeah, just how do you deal with that, from a personal side and from a racing side?
From a racing side, I mean, I think it's like what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over. After you go to the racetrack, twice, maybe you just maybe think you missed it a little bit, or you had a bad day, and you go back with it again, and it's still not good enough. Then it's time to do something else. And that's kind of what we're doing this year. Is looking at some of the tracks, like I said, that we were top 8, maybe top 9 truck, overall. And I think the Dells is one that we've been decent at. I think we finished 6th and 4th, but really had to claw our way for both of those finishes. So that's one that I kind of put a focus on this year, was to try and be better there with the truck. And some of our improvements over the off season, I think are going to help there. And some of the stuff that we're doing. And it's one of those things where you can't be afraid to try things, especially if you've had things that, you've done things that have just been okay. If you're afraid to fail, you're probably going to fail. So get outside your comfort zone and try some things. And that's how you learn whether they work or they don't work. And From a personal standpoint, I'm a huge YouTube in-car video guy. If I can find any sort of in-car video from people, that's why I don't post my own, because I don't want people seeing mine. So to be honest with you, I'll
Yep.
share it with some of my crew guys, share
Yep.
the in-car videos, but I don't put my stuff out on social media of the in-car videos because I don't want people seeing what I'm doing, especially at the racetracks I run well at. I don't want to
Yep.
give away any secret at all if I don't have to, behind the wheel.
Yep.
But guys that I know that have run good at certain tracks that have in-car video, I'll jump in, watch their in-car videos, see, maybe they're 3 feet higher on entry coming to the corner, and that's why they get to the center better and can drive off. Maybe that's why I'm tight in the center because I don't have enough arc in. So some of those racetracks, and I'll go back and watch my own and see like, okay, what am I doing differently, or what am I doing wrong compared to what I've seen. And that was what I did for lacrosse before I went there in 22 for the first time. John Ovidal Jr. had qualified third, I think, in 2020, and I found some in-car video out on YouTube, and I just studied it, tried to find landmarks, tried to find where the grass started down in turn one to kind of use that as opportunity for lifting points, and just trying to find landmarks to get myself in the ball game, and like going to Hawkeye this year down in Cedar Rapids. Never been there, never seen the place, but I've watched some ASA Midwest Tour stuff, trying to just see lay of the land, what the track does, what it looks like, and talking to different people that have raced there. What should I expect? Are the characteristics of the track, bumps anywhere that I need to be aware of? So,
Yeah.
I try to do as much homework as I can up front, so that way when we show up to the racetrack, we're in the best possible position, and not only with the truck side, but also from a personal side too.
So obviously you're going to be running the Midwest Truck Series the full season this year. Anything else that you're putting together as far as running this year, or are you still working on some stuff?
Yeah, gonna run the super late shows at Plover with Jacksonville Motorsports again. Um, so they got 6 races on their schedule in 2025. So for sure gonna run those. Might do one or two others with them as well. Talking around the idea of going up to Norway and maybe once or twice for one of their
Yep.
1,000 to win shows. Just gonna kind of play things by ear, and may end up doing a race or two with the WIR quarter mile late models. There's a special in July that they're having, so I might run that one. They also got one at the end of the year, so got some things hanging out there. I think I got 20 or 21 races on the schedule now, and I'm usually in the 20 to 25 range, and that everything takes time, and preparation's a big part of it. So just trying to find a balance of not doing too much racing to where I give up, some of my, detail work on, with the truck, and, with Macville Motorsports there, Monday nights are shop night for them, the weeks that we're racing. So trying to make sure that we do things right there and cover all our bases. So yeah, looking forward to 25. I mean, certainly I can never say no necessarily to racing certain things like go-karts as well. Did that last year a little bit too. So yeah, there might be a Sunday afternoon up in Cecil that you see me behind the wheel of a go-kart potentially. So if
Yeah.
it's got 4 wheels and I can race it, I'm usually at least open to it. It's just a matter of do I have time for it, and
Yep.
fit it in the schedule.
Awesome.
Kind of bouncing off of that a little bit. How tough is it? And you've been racing long enough to kind of find the balance. How tough is it to find the balance of time away from the racetrack with your family versus picking up a weekend and going, hey, we're going to go race? How is that tough? Have you found the happy medium for that? What's that like?
Yeah, I think we're kind of in that happy medium now, that 20 to 22 race, 23 race schedule.
Yeah.
In 22, I think I did like 31 races or something, and that was just way, way, way too much. It stretched me thin. I didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job at the racetrack because mentally I was just all over the place trying to keep things straight and trying to keep time, in order. But my little guy is 3.5 now. He loves the racetrack, loves going to the racetrack. He loves, he's starting to get interested in some other things too. And my wife, I mean, she was never into racing prior to us getting together. Now she loves going to the racetrack, so I've got that on my side, which certainly helps a lot.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but At the same time too, I try not to take advantage of that because there's stuff that she wants to do throughout the summer and,
Yeah.
or if there's things that we want to do on a weeknight, then I just got to plan things out a little bit better and
Mhm.
make sure that it all fits. So it's a balance for sure. And just trying to make sure to spend time with my family and also at the same time, keep our racing programs as, top notch as we can. It's a balance. And if it doesn't work, the trucks is a main focus and then with Maximum Motorsports. So anything outside of those 20 races, if for some reason it just doesn't fit the calendar, it doesn't fit. That's okay.
Nice. Kind of finding that happy medium, which is always a good thing.
Yep.
So, for you, where, if anyone that watches, listens, where could somebody get a hold of you, help you out, reach out, get in conversation? Where can people get a hold of you?
So multiple ways. I'm on social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X. So Facebook, my personal page. You can also go to Brandon Reichenberger Fan Zone on Facebook. Send me a message. We can get in touch that way. If you're on Instagram, at Brandon Reichenberger 3, that would be where to find me on Instagram. And then if you're out on the Twitter or X platform, it'd be at Brandon Reichen 3. So you can also send me an email, brandon.reichenberger@gmail.com. That's one way that we can connect too. So
Thanks.
plenty of avenues. Certainly active on the social media side of things. Would love to connect with any potential new partners, anybody that's interested in racing, and see how we can support each other.
Cool.
To that point, any sponsors that you do want to shout out while you got the floor?
Yeah, I think plenty of time for sponsors. So Fairways Lawn Care, Snow Removal, Chem Sports, BMR Electric Carts, 920 Wraps and Shirts, Menco, Wendrick's Truss, Barricade Flasher Service, they're a new one for 2025. The Corp Racing, they're new for 2025. Pete's Auto Repair and Sales, Jay's Barbecue back with us in 25 again. And then also QA1 as well. So number of people that help us out, and certainly we got a couple others that we're working on. So maybe we'll have some more news that way in a couple weeks. But whether it's week 1 before the season or if it's halfway through the season, welcome partners at any time. Would love to connect with anybody we can.
Cool.
All those partners you got, do you as you're just like laying in bed, are you just reciting your victory lane? Want to give a shout out to all my partners and running them line by line. Shoot, forgot one.
Well, here's what I've learned. I've learned that the more races you win, the easier it gets to remember them.
Come
So
on,
I'm
yeah.
trying to
Attaboy.
solve my own problems here. So
Attaboy.
there are times, yeah, I'll be doing a victory lane interview, especially early on in the season. If I got new ones, I'm like, I gotta look at the truck and I'm like, I hate doing that. I'd love to just rattle them off, but I gotta stop and look like, oh, yep, sorry, forgot about that one. So, but yeah, no, that's kind of my problem solving process. If you win more races, then you get more chances to recite it. So
Yeah.
True. Very good call.
Yeah, for sure. So cool. You guys got any other final thoughts as we kind of wrap up for the evening?
I'm good, unless Brandon's got something he wants to bring up.
what do you guys got in the hopper this year for big races? Any big exciting ones that you guys are planning to hit?
The schedule's always ever evolving. It always ever evolves.
I'm out of the three of us, I'm hands down the one that travels the most
Yeah.
out of all of us. So I mean, I'll hit a good majority of the Midwest Tour schedule. I pretty much say from like middle of May, all the way up until pretty much Oktoberfest. I'm at a racetrack somewhere every weekend.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
Well, I see the Brian Henry door in the background, so that's my Thursday night program is helping out Brian on Thursday nights at WIR. So if you guys get up this way, son, let me know. Stop down.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was Jack brought that up one weekend when he came up. So he was up visiting. He goes, I got 2 black ones. He goes, I want the white one because I had a white one. I helped him move out of his college apartment. He's like, here, you don't take this with you? I'm like, sure, why not? So he comes up, and I would say like the biggest ones, because I'm from the southwest corner. So like for me, the biggest ones I'll hit all the time will be the big ones at Madison and the Dells. And those are like my 2 frequent flyers. But from
Might
there,
have
it's just
some
kind of
might have some new additions for you at the end of 25. I got to put a new body on my truck. The Gen 1
Oh.
body is not allowed after 25, so
oh,
I
really?
might have something good for you potentially in about 9 months.
You can put
Sweet.
2 of us on that list then if you're
Well, you hope it's only 2 doors. That's the thing, is when you can
Yeah.
put the truck away and not have to put a body on in the middle of the week.
Yeah, they outlawed the Gen 1 body after this year, so I'm the last man standing with the old school body style. So got to put the new one on for 26.
All right.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I think our schedule just kind of evolves. I mean, the last couple of years, the big one that the really big one we've gone to is the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake with the World of Outlaw guys. We've gone to all 3 days for that. We've thrown around the idea of the Prairie Dirt Classic at Fairbury, but for the most part, it's like I said, it's a lot of, if not the entire Midwest Tour schedule, and you guys are with the Midwest Tour pretty frequently. But yeah, we're just at that point now where we're just counting days to April 12th.
Yep.
We're getting in the mode of like getting just ready to get back to it. So
When do you
Yeah,
start looking over the truck, getting her ready for Icebreaker?
About December. So it's been to the point now where things are starting to wind down as far as what needs to get done before we get there. So we got some odds and ends to do, but that's one of those things that I've always learned is don't wait till the last minute, because that's when you get in trouble. So try and start in about December, and that way you don't get burned out either, trying to burn the midnight oil, getting it done before the season starts. And
yeah,
so yeah, we're getting to that point. And I know you were asking about schedules before too, and that got me thinking, every now and again you might find me at Shawano Speedway, sometimes up in the flag stand even too. So if you get
Hey.
time on a Saturday,
oh,
you
really?
might see me there. And I've done some announcing there too. So I stay plenty busy at racetracks over the summer.
What doesn't this guy do?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It is. It's a lifestyle. When you're in it, you're in it. So that's cool.
Right, go with both feet, not just one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, the first place that everyone can catch will be April 12th at the Dells. For the Icebreaker. That'll kick off the Truck Series schedule. So, pending the weather, I'm not even going to mention that, but we'll be there. So that'd be cool to see, and hopefully it's warm. But
Last year,
yeah, we've been lucky the last couple of years. So knock on wood with that. So cool. Well, if we don't have any other final thoughts, we'll let you go for the night. We appreciate taking time to join us. We're doing this on a Sunday. This will come out either Monday night or Tuesday morning, and we'll have everything posted, and we'll have that all out there. So, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking time. And we'll see you April 12th at the Dells.
sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks.